We celebrate Earth Day this week and take a look at how to make travel more eco-friendly.
The defense minister responds to reports that China will attack Taiwan's outlying islands.
And we take a look at a dance that's all about quantifying stress.
And in Hashtag Taiwan, I'm going to answer a Chinese tabloid's question, what do Taiwanese people have left to eat? This is Taiwan Insider.
Welcome to the show. Tomorrow is Earth Day, so today we take a look at how some people in Taiwan are making travel more eco-friendly.
Although the COVID-19 pandemic has had many detrimental effects, some people believe it leaves room for a golden opportunity: positive readjustment. In Taiwan, environmentalists want to change people's living and travel habits to promote more eco-friendly ideals. When's the last time you traveled to another country on vacation? For most people in Taiwan, the idea of international travel is hard to imagine. After Taiwan closed its borders to non-residents and instituted a strict 14-day quarantine in February of 2020, traveling abroad was basically out of the question. However, this opened residents' minds to new opportunities: traveling within Taiwan. In the past, when faced with the long holiday break, many Taiwanese chose to travel abroad. With that option out of the running, Taiwan's Environmental Protection Administration, EPA, is taking this as a pivotal moment to readjust people's travel habits. For starters, the EPA says to try finding hotels with eco-friendly values. One example is Westlake Resortopia in Miaoli, which has received numerous accolades for its environmental practices. This hotel earned its prestige through some modest changes. Instead of replenishing a daily supply of plastic water bottles, each room has a water pitcher that guests can refill at the service desk. The hotel also only changes bed sheets between new guests instead of on a near-daily basis. This way, they can reduce the hotel's water and electricity consumption for laundry services. In addition, the hotel doesn't provide single-use items like plastic toothbrushes, razors, or even towels, reminding guests to bring their own. There are even signs in the bathrooms encouraging guests to use the soap, shampoo, and water sparingly instead of wasting large amounts. These may seem like small adjustments, but they add up to significant results. Over 8 years, the hotel was able to save 15.2 million liters of water and over 1 million kilowatt hours of energy. This level of conservation is enough to save over 250,000 trees. If that positive change came from the initiative of one hotel, what if all hotels in Taiwan were following the same principles? Besides hotels, restaurants are another big stop on any travel itinerary. Westlake's restaurant encourages customers to order modest meal portions to reduce plastic takeaway containers. If there are still leftovers, customers can vacuum seal the food in small plastic bags. The restaurant also uses locally sourced ingredients to reduce its carbon footprint. Importing ingredients from other regions or countries involves a large supply chain network that consumes a lot of energy and transportation. Just like the food sourcing, the cooking methods and seasoning are simple as well. This restaurant focuses on maintaining the food's natural flavor, instead of using artificial additives. Many of the ingredients are actually planted in the restaurant's garden by students who attend farming workshops. The classes teach the students how to grow their own food as well as other eco-friendly practices. EPA Minister Zhang Zijing says that people need to adjust their travel and lifestyle choices to combat global warming. However, he says this transition doesn't require extreme steps immediately. Simply starting by ordering smaller portions and buying local products can become permanent habits that reduce carbon emissions. Pandemic restrictions are starting to loosen across the world, which means that international travel may be back in business soon. While international travel usually has a much larger carbon footprint than domestic travel, that doesn't mean it needs to be ruled out entirely. After all, these eco-friendly travel tips can be used all over the world. Still, throughout the past 2 years, the pandemic has also been a reminder that a great vacation doesn't need to be a plane ride away.
Little habits go a long way. Next up, Harrison Kay tells us how Taiwan is working on greener modes of travel.
Around the world, transportation makes up between 50 to 20% of greenhouse gas emissions. So how can we all travel in a greener, more environmentally friendly way? Taiwan has a great bike-sharing service called U-Bike. These yellow or orange bikes are found in cities all around Taiwan and can be rented for both short and long rides. They're super convenient, super cheap, and of course environmentally friendly. One U-bike serves an average of 12 people per day. But traditionally, Taiwan is a place that loves its motorbikes. Right now there's so many motorbikes in Taiwan that for every 2 people there's roughly 1 motorbike. In 2015, a company called Gogoro launched a range of electric motorbikes in a scheme that's similar to the U-bike scheme. People in cities such as Taipei can rent blue electric scooters from points around the city and swap out the battery packs whenever the battery gets low. Taiwan also boasts a strong network of both traditional and high-speed rail trains that run throughout the island's cities and towns, making public transport a great way to get around the island. In Taipei, the metro, known as the mass rapid transport, is also an eco-friendly way to get around the city, and is very popular with around 2 million trips made daily. But there are of course still lots of times when you can't take the subway, and you have to rely on buses. Lots of Taiwanese buses still run on petrol, but Taiwan has a plan to upgrade all of its buses to electric buses by 2030. Whether it's renting an electric scooter, a public bike, taking a green bus, taking the metro, or even just walking, Taiwan has a lot of different options for green travel. The more we all take eco-friendly methods of transport instead of just driving, the more we can reduce that 15% figure on global carbon emissions. So let's all try to make these positive changes.
A recent Nikkei Asia report says that China is rethinking its Taiwan strategy after watching Russia's invasion into Ukraine. The report says that China may choose to attack Taiwan's outlying islands, and it might do so soon. Here's how Taiwan's defense minister responded.
All eyes have been on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A recent Nikkei Asia report says the Ukraine war has forced China to rethink its Taiwan strategy. It suggests China may invade Taiwan's outlying islands instead of the main island, in light of Russia's challenges in Ukraine. Taiwan's defense minister, Cho Guozhen, says that the Ukraine war contains lessons for both Taiwan and China. He says Taiwan is watching the war closely, while China is also adjusting its strategy. Some cross-strait analysts says that Chinese President Xi Jinping may choose to attack Taiwan's outlying islands in the lead-up to China's 20th Party Congress, where Xi is expected to be elected to a 3rd term. Experts say an attack on Taiwan would distract the Chinese public from domestic woes. Cho says that the military will defend the country from any attack on Taiwanese soil. The Nikkei report says China has a new understanding of the challenges it might face if it invades Taiwan. Meanwhile, Taiwan is working to strengthen its defenses against any potential attack.
Stress can creep up and accumulate without us even realizing it. A new performance in Taiwan takes a look at the toll that stress takes on us in our everyday lives.
How do you quantify pressure's toll on the human body? Well, in this performance, rubber bands are used as a metaphor for life's many stresses. Dancers are pulled in various directions before they are snapped by the rubber bands. Here, stress isn't something that piles up and accumulates. It's tangible pain you can feel the moment it comes up. When pressure is translated into immediate pain you can feel, how might that affect people's lives? This latest work is called Hooke's Law, and it's the brainchild of choreographer Huang Yufen. Huang says she chooses to use rubber bands throughout her performance because they are something that can elicit fear from people. She says the anticipation of pain from a rubber band is something that can push people to emotional limits. Rubber bands take on a different role in the show when female performers come on stage. The rubber bands are used to manipulate dancers' actions rather than to create pain. Rubber bands here symbolize the pressure society places on women. Huang says this part of the performance is taken from her own life experience. She says women are often expected to sacrifice their own careers and dreams to conform to society's rules. Hooke's Law is still under development. It's scheduled to premiere in late May in Taipei. However, in the lead-up to its debut, the show promises to rethink the way people look at stress.
People manage their stress in a variety of different ways. How do you manage your stress? Some people choose to decompress by watching animal videos. Our next report takes a look at how a cat video in Taiwan is a shocking first for the country.
Through a surveillance camera, a leopard cat was seen climbing onto the guardrail before walking through the tunnel to get to the other side of a river in Miaoli. The Agriculture Department said their office built the tunnel to prevent leopard cats from crossing the road and being hit by cars. It said that the near-extinct wild cat is very discreet by nature, and it wasn't until March this year that the camera caught the very first one to use the tunnel. Agriculture official Zhang Wei said that before the sighting of the first leopard cat, only ferret badgers, civets, and house cats have been seen crossing the tunnel. She said her office will not only work to improve the tunnel itself, but also install more railings at the entrance. Zhang said that's to prevent wild dogs from attacking the leopard cats. She said hopefully more leopard cats will use the tunnel that was built just for them.
Next up, Leslie rebuts a Chinese tabloid that claims that Taiwanese people are running out of food.
We've talked a lot about Taiwanese food on this show before. I mean, we've talked about pineapples, pizza, desserts, ice cream, mooncakes. I mean, you name it, I've probably salivated over it at some point. Whether or not any of those things are good, well, that's just a matter of personal preference. But I do think that I've established that there is an appropriate amount and abundant variety of food here in Taiwan. So, given that, it might seem strange that I'm going to dedicate the rest of today's show to answering the question, what do Taiwanese people have left to eat? Like all #Taiwans, I'm going to start you off with a little bit of background information. Inflation is a hot topic in Taiwan these days, and I don't think it's a subject that's confined to just Taiwan. All over the world, we're seeing prices rise for things like chicken, gas, and flour. The reason behind these recent price hikes are macroeconomic intricacies tied to supply chains, the war in Ukraine, and of course COVID, among other things. Do I fully understand it? No. So that's why we're not going to dive into much detail about why commodity prices are on the up and up. They just are. Last Saturday, China's state-run tabloid Global Times published an editorial in which it asked, what do Taiwanese people have left to eat? The article said that people in Taiwan couldn't afford food anymore because of rampant inflation. Have prices risen in Taiwan recently? Sure. Have they risen to the point where people outright can't afford food? I don't think so, and I think a good chunk of people here share my reality. The inflation is inconvenient, but it's not causing famine, so what gives? After the article's publication, the hashtag what do Taiwanese people have left to eat started trending. People in Taiwan started sharing pictures of the food they were eating. We weren't really gloating, we were just saying, no, we're doing just fine, thank you very much. And all of this is coming at a time when the Chinese city of Shanghai is undergoing pretty strict COVID-related lockdown. The government there has started confining people to their homes, and reports are coming out that people are having trouble getting food. It was ironic that the Global Times published an article about Taiwan's lack of food at a time when it seems like people in Shanghai are struggling to find it. I just want to say, I am not poking fun at Shanghai's plight. I think food is a basic necessity that everyone should have access to, and I don't like it that people in Shanghai are having trouble getting their hands on it. The message here is that maybe the Chinese government should focus on fixing its own citizens' food woes before pointing the finger at Taiwan. We're doing just fine, thank you very much. And now, before we leave you, a look at some of the other stories that are on our radar.
Taiwan has authorized vaccinations of 6 to 11-year-olds using the Moderna brand of COVID-19 vaccine. Children will be given 1/2 dose of the shot with another 4 weeks later. Health authorities have not announced when the vaccine rollout will begin. The Education Ministry says children will need their parents' written permission to receive the vaccine. Taiwan follows the European Union, which allowed Moderna jabs for children aged 6 and older in February this year. The United States has also allowed vaccinations of children that age using the Pfizer shots in October last year. With COVID-19 infections in Taiwan rising quickly, Taipei City established a home quarantine assistance center which offers help to COVID patients quarantined at home. It provides care packages containing dried foods, rapid tests, thermometers, face masks, important contact information, medical instructions, and garbage bags. The office also offers a range of services like pet care, garbage disposal, and psychological counseling. Ukraine's parliament thanked Taiwan for its support on the social media app Telegram on Tuesday. The post included a photo from a die-in protest held in Taipei during which protesters fell to the ground to the sounds of air raid sirens and artillery shelling. According to Taiwan's foreign ministry, Taiwanese people donated 650 tons of supplies and over $32 million for Ukrainian refugees.
And we're back in the studio for our final question of the day. And today's question is going to require a little bit of explanation because in Emma's video, we talked about how locally sourced food will help shrink your carbon footprint. And in my video, we talked about how there's a bit of inflation. So here's my two-pronged question that I want to pose to you guys. And the question is, what food can't you do without despite inflation? So like, just imagine inflation is rampant, but you still got to have this food, and it's got to be a local food. All right. So Natalie, what's your answer?
All right. Well, this is what we drink every day in our home. Soy milk. Liquid protein. It's very delicious and nutritious.
And it's very good too. Actually, it's actually plant-based, so it's probably better.
In Taiwan, you can have it salty or you can have it sweet, and you can dip all sorts of things in it.
Like hot, cold,
Do it every which way. Emma?
Well, I chose mango shaved ice. So mango season is coming up. I'm from New York, so I used to eat mangoes in the summer as well, but there are no mango trees in New York, so it was always, imported from far away. And when I got to Taiwan, I realized the difference between, eating imported mangoes and ones that were fresh right from the source.
I'm actually allergic to mangoes. But
Are you serious?
I still eat them. I try and break my record every year. I keep track of how many mangoes I eat every year, and I try to do better the year after.
I think it's worth it.
It is definitely worth it, so my answer is going to be braised pork rice.
Ooh.
It's just such a good staple. It's minced pork braised in like soy sauce and a bunch of spices, and you just put it over rice. And it's a very economical food, and it's pork, and Taiwan is very proud of its pork industry. So I think that is a very nice locally sourced food that I will have to have despite inflation. Anyway, that's just about does it for our show this week. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Leslie Liao.
I'm Emma Banat.
And I'm Natalie Tso, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube.
That's right. You can send us a message on all our social media platforms. Tell us what you think of the show, and maybe even suggest a few topic ideas. Anyway, guys, until next week, we'll see you around.
Bye.